Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies. My name is Angela. I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do this little square here. Now this one, the pattern is called the Apache Tears. Now it wasn't until I got 2 to 3 rows in that I actually realised that this is also a mosaic crochet pattern. You may hear the surprise in my voice during the recording. But yes, it is another mosaic crochet. It is a really lovely, simple pattern, and you can use as many colours as you like. I do suggest that if you are following along with the Stitch a Week, you double check, okay, double and treble check the description box of this video, where I will tell you the stitch counts and how many stitches I used for this project today. And of course, for everybody else, the stitch counts and extra details are in that description box. Okay, now this is a really lovely pattern to do, and it is really quite simple to be able to upsize your upscale your project as well. Now also included within this pattern today at the end is how to do this border section. And now this is an enclosed border, so it means then that you can hide away all your ends by doing this neat little trick. Now I've done this with this square, and I have also done it on my cactus square, so if you're following along with the Stitch a Week, I suggest you do the same, and then it will make your squares all ready to go for the joining section of that video that will be coming up at some point soon. So come on, grab your hook, grab that spare yarn you've got, and let's get working. Okay, so for this stitch today, you are going to need at least 2 different colours of yarn. I'm actually going to be using 5 because, as you can see here by the size of these dinky balls, I am determined to use up my scraps. Don't ask me how it's going to look at the end. I don't know yet, but you guys will have already seen it on the main screen for the video, so hopefully it looks alright. Okay, so for this one today, we are going to be chaining in multiples of 6 plus 3. That's for everybody that's doing a big chunky blanket or something, because of course this can be used for baby blankets and other bits and pieces. Okay, for my gorgeous Stitch a Week, you lot are going to hate me. The chain count for this one is 28 plus 3. Right, so let's get chaining in your multiples of 6 until you have the desired chain length. Okay, make sure that you keep this chain loose, everybody. If you're a tight crocheter like I normally am, go up a hook size. Okay, so let's get chaining. So once you have your desired chain length, don't forget you need to add that additional 3 chains on. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is we are going to be working in the back bump of each of these chains. So to locate that, you've got to turn your chain slightly, and you will see this single raised area here.
Okay, so we're going to make sure that we are working into the second chain from the hook, turn it over and stab your hook underneath that little back bump there. Okay, and do a single crochet, and we're going to do that all the way along. Now, as my crazies know, I do have difficulties sometimes working into my back bump, so what I'm going to do here is do it off camera, and I will meet you back here shortly when you get to the end of your row. Okay, so I'm back with you for the very last stitch, as you can see there. Now we are actually going to be cutting off our yarn at the end of each row, so I suggest you chain up one or chain up two, depending on how you like to do things, but I'm going to chain up two, and then I'm going to scooch down my knot. I left my scissors in the other room, I'll deal with that in a moment. Okay, and then we are going to whiz all the way back and find our very first stitch, which is this one here. Okay, then we're going to take our next colour of yarn. I'm going to go for the dark, I think, and we are going to attach that to our work. So what we're going to do is pop our hook through, just lay your yarn, lay your yarn over the top of your hook, pull it through, hook over with both strands and pull it through. Now, so to secure this stitch, we're going to pop our hook back through the same hole, bring up a loop and do a single crochet. We are going to do that at the start of every single row. Okay, so and now it's time to get on with the pattern. So for this row we are going to work into the back loop only, and we're going to do a single crochet. We will be doing this all the way along our row until that very last stitch. On that very last stitch you're going to do a normal bog standard single crochet. So pause the video here if you want, if you're doing a larger project. Meet me back here in a few moments once you're nearing the end of your row. For everybody else, let's just keep working along. So that is a single crochet in the back bump, in the back loop only. Today I'm using Aldi yarn, and so it splits very easily. Okay, so and now for that very last stitch, we are going to work a standard single crochet, making sure that you've got both parts of the V above your hook. You're going to hook over and do your single crochet. Now chain two, pull up your yarn, cut it off and scooch down your knot. Now for row number 3, we are going to pop our hook through, join our yarn as we've previously done by just looping over our yarn, pulling it through, taking both strands of yarn, pull them through, drop your tail, and then pop in a single crochet into the same stitch. Now remember, we're going to do that at the beginning of every single row. Okay, now for our stitch pattern for this row, we are going to do a double crochet, but this time our double crochets are going to be worked into that unworked front loop only. Okay, so we're going to hook over, keeping our yarn nice and loose. You're going to drop down, scoop up that stitch from the bottom to the top, hook over, pull through, hook over, pull through two, hook over and pull through two. If you pull too tightly, then it will pull up a lot worse than this bit here. Right, so now we have worked that first double crochet. We are now going to do 5 single crochets. So we don't want to work into the loops that are sitting behind this stitch, otherwise it'll mean that we end up increasing. So you skip that one there and work the back loop only into the next stitch, and then another back loop only into the remaining of 4 stitches. So in total you will have 5 single crochets. Oh, I nearly got it wrong then. There we go. Okay, so in total you will have 5 single crochets. Okay, so once you have those 5 single crochets, you can also double check by tilting your work forward, and you'll see an unworked one sitting behind that double crochet. Now we're going to repeat this sequence all the way along. So to work out where the bottom of your double crochet should sit, you just count along the loops on that previous row, okay, and count along, and when you get to the 6th, that is where you're going to stick your hook. Okay, so hook over, drop down, keep it loose, hook over, pull through, hook over, pull through 2, hook over, pull through 2. Okay, then make sure you skip that stitch that's sitting behind your double crochet, and then do another 5. And you're going to keep repeating that pattern all the way along. Now if the double crochet falls on your very last stitch, ignore it. Okay, you'll notice I will show you that a little bit further along. Okay, so we've done the 5, drop down, pick up another double crochet, and let's count our 5 again. 1, 2, righty ho, so here we go, we're coming up to the end of this row. Now as you can see here, I have done my 5 back loop only single crochets. Now my next stitch technically would be a double crochet, but we are jumping in with a standard single crochet at the end. Your rows of course will always start and finish with a standard single crochet, so really this doesn't count in the sequence at all. When you've got to the end of the row, of course, a chain 2, pull up your yarn, scooch down your knot. Now it's time to work on to row number 4. Okay, so for row number 4 we are going to join our new yarn again, and we'll do that exactly the same way we have done in previous rounds. There we go. Okay, so we're going to hook over with our yarn, our working yarn and our tail, just for the one slip stitch, drop that tail, and then go back in with a single crochet. this yarn is vile. Okay, there we go. Alright, so for now we're going to be working onto this next row. Our very first stitch, because it's sitting on top of this double crochet, is a back loop only single crochet. Our next stitch is a double crochet, so this time we are dropping down to a row number 2, okay, and picking up that unworked front double crochet. Sorry, that unworked front loop, I should say. There we go. And so we've got our first double crochet sorted for this round. Now we're going to a single back loop, a single crochet for a count of 5, because as you can tell the pattern starts the same each row. It's just slightly different at the start and the end, and that is what gives us the zigzag working up. Then we're going to drop down, pick up our yarn and do our double crochet. Okay, so another 5 and back loop only as single crochets. And then we're going to drop down again. And pick up that loop. Work our next 5 single crochets, or however many you've got when you get to the end. And then your very last stitch, of course, is a standard single crochet. Chain 2 and tie off your work. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave you to just carry on playing with your yarn and alternating your colours. Just remember that your gaps between each one of your drop downs is 5. Okay, and then you've got your double crochet, which will drop down and skip a row and drop down the next unworked row. Okay, so if you've worked this row here, your next one would be there. When we work onto the next row, you'll be working into, or I would be working into the white. Okay, I'm going to put extra details in the description box down below explaining the first couple of stitches on each of the rows, working our way up. And you'll notice that there is also a sequence in that as well. Okay, and then I'm going to leave you to get on with it and run with it and have fun with it. I'll be back in a few moments to tell you how many rows I've needed to do for my square today. Now for the added extra information for the Stitch a Week crowd. Right, your square is going to be smaller than your standard square. I've done this so that when we add a border, it will match in the same size as most of our other squares. Okay, so your row you are going to need to do, including this bottom row, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 and 19 rows. Do not cut off your yarn at this point, because what we are going to now do is another row along the top to make it match the bottom. Okay, this one is a simple row, so let's get this done nice and quickly. Pop your yarn on your hook, chain 1, turn your work. Okay, and now we are going to just do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then a single crochet in every stitch all the way along, and that is a full standard normal single crochet. Once you get to the end of this row, that last stitch of course is your end stitch, so it's quite tight to get into. But once you've got that one done, chain 2 and cut off your yarn and scooch down your knot.
Right, so now it's time to do our border. We're going to be working along this side section here, and as you notice, all of your strands are sitting to the back of your work. What we want to do now is a little trick that pulls them up and pulls them to the side like the ones I've done here. So to do this little trick, what we're going to do is you're going to grab the yarn from the end that you work in, and you're going to pop your hook through the stitch. Nice and simple. Pull up the yarn and then chain over and pull through twice. Okay, then pull up and then scooch that knot down. Now that knot will now be sitting in a really nice position, and it will match the ones on the other side. So let me show that to you again. Pop your hook through, hook your yarn, pull through. Whoops, there we go, that's better. Now we're going to hook over, pull through one, hook over and pull through again. Okay, scoot that knot down. Okay, now by doing it this way, it means that we can cut those tails as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, I'll get round to it in a second. That's it, put the hook down and show you how they look. Now we're going to grab the scissors and we are going to cut these tails so that they're all pretty much the same length and a lot shorter, so they don't get in our way as much. Now the choice is yours as to the length that you want yours to do. Now remember, the more length that you have on the tails, of course, the more bulky the border will actually be. So for mine, I've left them about 1 inch and 1 inch long. Okay, but later on I do in fact cut these down again off camera because they were a little bit long for what I wanted. Oh, it's like going to the hairdressers, isn't it? Yep, so once you've done the one side, rotate your work down and of course I cut the ends on the other side to match. This step, if you're only doing a short sample like I am today, doesn't actually take that long to do. If you've got a larger blanket, of course, I like to leave this till the end anyway, because I use the ends and to help me count how many rows I've done so that I can keep an eye on the pattern. And if I've got anything with pattern repeats, of course, I can do the same. Right, so there we go, all done, all dusted. Let's get rid of those ends. And now let's work onto the border itself. So taking the border colour that you've chosen, I've chosen to go blue because I wanted a very large contrast between my main base colour of the white and of course I wanted it to pop and bounce, so that is why I've chosen the darkest colour in the set. Oh, and it's the one with the most amount of yarn left. Right, so I pop a loop on your hook. Now taking your hook, we're going to pick up any of the front loop onlys along the top section. Now we're going to complete it with a standing single crochet, and we're going to do that all of the way along this top section. Okay, so you hook that front loop going from the bottom to the top, pull your yarn through and finish it off as a single crochet. Nice and simple, this bit. And keep going until you get to nearly the end of the row.
Okay, so we've got to our corner, we've got that very last stitch in. I'm going to chain 1, turn your work. Now at this point we're going to be a bit cheeky. We're going to go into the stitch and then under the next one. Okay, so we're going to work under the post side of the stitch, pull up a loop and finish it off as a single crochet. I'm going to then move across to the next one, use it as a post, keeping your ends out the way. Okay, single crochet again, and you're going to do that all of the way down. So that's in, you use the stitch as a post, and pull up your yarn and single crochet. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way down, and I will meet you when you get to the corner. Okay, so here we are, I'm back for this last stitch. So we're going to do the same as we've done all the way along. Okay, now before we move on to the next spot, what I like to now do is give each of my tails a gentle tug or manipulation, depending on how you feel and what you want to call it. This means then that it's guaranteed that all of them are going to be sitting behind what we've just crocheted in. Right, so now on to the next round side. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain one, pop a single crochet into the same stitch. Okay, so now to work along the top of your work, you're going to chain one, then you're going to place a front loop single crochet in each of the stitches all the way along. And then when you get to the end, of course, we are going to do that and chain one and then turn. But I'll work alongside with you on this little section because it's only short and sharp, isn't it? Right, so that's our last front loop only done. We're going to chain one, going to turn our work. Now we're going to repeat what we did on the other side. So this one here with our tails, we are going to pop our hook back into that stitch that we just worked and then pop under, imagining we're using it as a post. Okay, I'm going to do that all the way down this side of our work, keeping those tails facing the back. And if at any point you see it looks a bit iffy, then just give them tails a gentle wiggle and manipulate them so they're sitting further back. Okay, now I will meet you at the bottom in a few moments. Okay, so we are now back to the last corner, so we're going to chain one, pop our hook back in and do a single crochet. Now we're going to single crochet in the remaining stitches along the top of our work. Okay, once you reach that very first stitch, we are going to pop our hook in, making sure you've picked up both parts of the V, and slip stitch join, and chain one, and go back into that same space and place a single crochet. Now we're going to go and do a single crochet all the way around. When you get to your corners, you are going to place a single crochet, chain one, single crochet into the chain area that we popped in on the last round. Okay, once you have done that, meet me back here and I will see you shortly. Okay, now to start on the back section of our work, what you're going to do is you're going to fold it slightly, and you'll see there is a natural fold in your work, and you'll find the back loops that you didn't work when you was, of course, working on the front. So now we are going to work into these loops. Now these are the new front loops. So we're going to do a standing single crochet to start off with, anywhere along the top section or the bottom. Okay, and then we're going to single crochet along, and then when we get to our corners, we're going to place in a single, chain one, and a single. Okay, I should have started a bit closer to the corner, but I'll get there. Hold on a moment. I'll just keep working along with me. Okay. Right, so now we are coming up to that corner stitch. You're going to pop your hook in. You're going to chain one. Single crochet, chain one, single crochet. Now instead of dipping under our stitch like we've done previously, now what we're going to do is we are going to pick up the back of that single crochet. So as you can see here, you've got a line of stitches running along. Okay, we're going to pop our hook from the bottom. Sometimes it can be a little bit awkward depending on how tight your tension is. There we go, pick it up and then do a single crochet. Okay, let me show you that to you again. Pop your hook from the bottom to the top and single crochet. And you're going to carry on doing that all the way along your work. So pick up that stitch, pop your hook through, yarn over, and then pull through and do a single crochet. So do that all of the way down your work until you get to the bottom. I will meet you back there in a moment. Right, so and now we're back for the corner. You have got your very first stitch in, and a chain one, and we turn our corner and we pop a second stitch in the same spot. Now it's a case of picking up the front loop only all the way along the top, and then repeating that whole process from here all the way up on the other side. I will meet you when you get to the bottom. Right, so you're at the end of that round, so we are going to repeat what we did on the front by slip stitching into that very first stitch.
Right, so now what we need to do is 2 more complete rounds. Okay, now remember, when you get to your corners, it is a single crochet, chain 2, and then a single crochet. And once you have completed your third, up to the end of your third row, once you've done that, meet me back here and I'll show you the next step.
Okay, so there we go, we are at the end of that row, so a slip stitch to join. Now both your front and your back sections should be the same height at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate our work, and we are now going to join the front and the back panel together. Okay, and as we're doing that, we are going to tuck our ends in. It is that simple. So what we're going to do is find our corresponding front and back stitches. We are going to take the back loop from both, pop our hook through and finish off the stitch as a slip stitch. Sorry, I'll show you that again. We pick up the corresponding loops. Okay, so it's the back loop from both panels and slip stitch. You're going to do that all the way along. When you get to your corners, of course, we are going to treat them the same as our normal corners. Give me a chance to get there. So there's our corner stitches coming up now. We're just going to do that. Chain one and go back in again, picking up the same two. Oh, and slip stitch. So let me undo that. And a secondary slip stitch. And there we go. So that's our edge and our corner. Now it's a case of, as you're working along, tuck your ends in the middle, and just to keep them out of the way. And again, we are going to pick up the back loop of both panels and just work through them. Why did I pick blue? This is a nightmare colour to see. Okay. So there we go, and we're going to do the same all the way down and all the way around our work. Okay, and now I'm going to neaten this up because it looks a bit scraggly for me. I will meet you back when you get to here. So remember, on the corners it's slip stitch, chain one, slip stitch into the same space. Okay, and working along, it's a case of tuck, squidge together, and pick up the back loop of the front and the back loop there. So it's actually the front, as you're looking at it, it would be the front loop of the back panel. Okay, so it's that one and that one there that you're going to be slip stitching together. As I said, I will meet you when we get back here. Okay, so keep going all of the way around. When you get to the corners, there is no special treatment. It's just a case of pairing up the appropriate stitches and slip stitching around. Right, and then as we get to this section here, what you're going to do is pop your ends down, tuck them in between the front and the back section, and then just carry on slip stitching down and tuck as you go. And if and that should give you quite a nice edge. It will be a bit buffy, it will be a bit squidgier than the top section. If you decide at this point, you can also trim these down so they are a lot shorter. Okay, I've just kept them there that length so that you could see them and see how I'm going to fold them down. Okay, but I will be trimming mine down to probably around 1 centimetre or 1/4 of an inch, depending on what your measurement system is. Okay, I will meet you when you get back to here. Okay, so we got to the last stitch. So what we're going to now do is pull up our yarn. We're going to do a sneaky hide. I'm just trying to find my darning needle. Okay, so you're going to pull up your yarn, as I've just done, and cut an end and give yourself a decent amount for sewing in. And you're going to thread it onto your needle. You're then going to place your needle under the front and back loop of the very first stitch. Pull your needle through. Then you are going to pop your needle back down through that stitch that your yarn came out of, Okay, and pull closed. That way it gives you a really nice invisible join, and it's a case of tying off your yarn however you like to do it. Okay, whether you add a knot or not, the choice is yours. And then of course you can hide it in amongst the stitches, or because I've tied a knot, I'm just going to thread it right down the middle there of that little gap that we created to hide our ends in, and just keep going until there's none left on my needle. Oop. Oh, it was looking so good then, wasn't it, everyone? Right, okay, as I said, just keep going until the yarn has disappeared basically. And that is it for today's tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you like this week's square. Now this border style is the same style that we are using on week number 25 as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. These squares also make brilliant coasters because of the raised edges. Right, that is it for me for today. I'm going to head off now. I will see you all next week. So make sure you stay in and stay safe, and ta-ra for now, everybody.
And here we go. This is it. That's your square complete. All you'll now need to do, of course, is sew in that very last end. And you can basically just tuck it in and run it along one of these little pockets that we formed. Right, that is it for me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please remember to give it a cheeky thumbs up, and don't forget to leave a comment in the description box down below. Also, if you have actually taken on this square and made it, or made a project using this stitch, please send me a photograph so I can have a nose and have a look, and then possibly show it off on a future Whips, Bits and Chats. You can do that. You can send me the image by either using the contact details in the description box down below for either the Facebook group, or fire it over to me via email. Either way's really cool. Right, that is it for me for today. I'm going to head off now. I will see you all really soon. So if you can, please stay chilled, stay happy and keep crafting. Goodbye everybody.